I'm not saying hashtag all men. I'm just saying that hashtag a lot of times men.
It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet once a week at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am your host, Ramona Ramirez Higgins. I am here solo, yes. We are going to take a moment to wish my dear friend and co-host, Margie McGee, a wonderful week off. She's enjoying some much overdue time for spending with dear family and friends and travel. And I am so happy for her that she is hopefully taking some time to resource herself and feel good and relax. Enjoy the nice summer weather. You guys, we're almost out of daylight time versus standard time. I think we're leaving daylight time, right? Because that's why they change it in the winter, so we have more daylight. Hopefully I'm getting that right. This weekend is when we're going to spring forward, and personally, I can't wait. I swear to God, did we all not vote? I know Californians did. I thought it was on a federal level, too. Didn't we vote to get rid of these concocted time changes like years and years ago, like 10 years ago now? Why are we still doing this? It's barbaric. Is it not? Haven't there been studies about how fucked up it gets everybody and that there is an upswing in car accidents, for example, in the days following the time changes? It is so disruptive on so many levels. In our bodies, in just everything. Like, oh my God, dealing with kids during time changes, it's just not fun, you know? It's not fun for any of us. Anyway, my point is that this weekend, we're going to get to spring forward. So yes, you lose an hour, but personally, I don't know about you guys, but without like Christmas to kind of break up the fall and winter season, that's not my favorite. You know, it's not my favorite. I think the changing leaves are beautiful. I understand the desire for a crisp fall day so that you can take down your favorite sweater. I am allergic to wool. It's a mild allergy. It's not anything gnarly, but I don't get to partake in a Fair Isle wool, vintage, cute sweater with a good pattern on it. You know, I get blisters on my neck. Like, it's not fun. But I'm happy for other people about that. I'm happy for people that really love to get it on for Halloween. Again, it's not something that is inherently in my own DNA, but I am happy for people that really love fall and winter. I am very happy for myself. I will get more daylight. I just am. So sorry to talk about that for about a million years. How is everybody? I know that we're all living in a very... How do I say this diplomatically? We're living in a time, all right? Let's just say it. Well, we're living in a time. It's a time. And so hopefully in this time that we will spend together, where I'm going to talk about these summer house kids, that we will feel a break, reprieve, distraction. I'll take it on whatever the spectrum of checking out it is, you know? I just will cop to the fact that I have done too much doom scrolling today and yesterday. It is not good for me. And I do think that it's starting to really sink in that when I spend hours away from my phone, hours away from the news cycle, I do feel better. It's like, yes, no shit, Sherlock, but I'm glad to finally be feeling it. Like, there's something about knowing it, like I know it's not good for me, but feeling how bad it makes me feel, that has more weight for me. So if I'm a distraction, I'm totally on board with that. So let's do it. Let's talk about these Summer House kids, all right? We're here to talk about Summer House, Season 10, Episode 5, called Summer Nights. I really wish Josh could come in the booth with me, but it's just not possible, and we would have to record in the middle of the night in order to get him here, and you know, maybe we'll do that one time because he just has so much to say whenever we watch Summer House together. Oh, and by the way, Hulu fucked me over the other night. It recorded Vanderpump Rules, which I don't care. I don't care. Like, I can watch those on Peacock. I'm not really into it yet, whatever. But I like to watch Summer House, and I had a recording set up for it. It didn't record for some reason. So I took notes the very first time I watched it when I watched it on Peacock. Like, for example, when Dara and KJ exchanged earrings, I didn't even put it in my notes because I thought, is this going to be inconsequential? Like, I don't care. Not that I don't care, but like, was it noteworthy? And it turns out it was later on in the episode. So if there's things I didn't pick up, that's why. I watched it one time, took notes at the same time. Not my preference, but next week it'll be better, you know? Anyway, so we're back at the summer house. We're back in the Hamptons. The kids are getting ready to have guests arrive for their Renaissance Fair party. They're getting into their various costumes. Ben looks like full-on Elizabethan. He's really committed to the bit. I mean, he's wearing like full, thick-looking tights, like a velvet-looking man dress with the collar, and it's humid and hot in that part of the country in the summer, and I personally can't imagine wearing a costume like that, but if he's having fun, that's good for him. Lindsay's dressed as a full-on evil Disney queen, as she should be, right? As she should be. Jesse, in my humble opinion, looked like a waiter at a Brazilian steakhouse, a la like Fogo de Chão. But he added some flair for his shift with the leatherette armbands, and then he had a crown on, the black shoes. Did he not give full Brazilian steakhouse waiter vibes? I really feel so embarrassed being my age saying the word vibes, but sometimes that is the only word that fits. So I apologize if it sounded as cringy to hear as it did coming out of my mouth. I don't know what other word to use in that moment. So yeah, he had his black waiter shoes on, his white waiter outfit on. Thankfully, Ciara said, ditch the shirt, let's go to the linen closet and make you a cape out of a sheet. Again, a cape at a Ren Fair? Sure, I don't know. But they're stoked on it, and honestly, that's all that matters, right? But I don't remember ever seeing anybody on Game of Thrones, for example, which is as... with the exception of the 1 or 2 Lord of the Ring movies that I did see back when they first came out. Oh my God, I don't even remember when that was. 20 years ago now? Longer? The closest thing I have to a Renaissance Fair genre is Game of Thrones, seasons 1 through 5. And it took me a long time to even watch it. Like, everyone freaked out when it first came out. I was like, I don't fuck with dragons. I don't fuck with crystals. I don't fuck with wizards. I don't do Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know what this is. One night, Josh and I were bored. We'd watched everything. We put it on, cut to 5 a.m., like looking at each other with black circles under our eyes, like, one more. You know, this is obviously pre-kid. And I get it. And I apologized profusely to everyone and anyone who had told me, Ramona, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about by not watching Game of Thrones. It's incredible. You need to get over yourself and watch it. And I did, and they were right. However, everyone can talk about that last season, and I'm right on board with everybody, okay? But if you haven't watched Game of Thrones and you think it's not for you, it might be. Because trust me, if my husband can watch Game of Thrones, anybody can watch Game of Thrones, okay? You haven't heard Josh rag on something until you've heard him rag about Game of Thrones before he watched it. Contempt prior to investigation, as they say in 12-Step Rooms, I believe. I wish Margie was here to confirm or deny that is a saying that I picked up there. Anyway, my point is, I don't remember anyone in crisp whites when I was watching Game of Thrones. And I also apologize if Ren Fair aesthetics are not Game of Thrones aesthetics. To me, that's what I would look to if I would be going to a Renaissance Fair. Which, you know what? I'm actually kind of curious to go to one. I really am. I really appreciate like a costume theme event. And a Ren Fair is definitely very costume heavy. So Amanda and Kyle are in animal costumes. She has on ears and horns and a snout. So like goat up top, but then from the neck down, she's giving like virgin maiden Ren Fair. So Kyle, I believe, is a buck, but also waist down from the top up. I think he has a vest on. Wayfarers, you know, he's Kyle neck up, Ren Fair neck down. Ciara, again, killing the costume theme. She is consistently foregoing the male gaze in her costume this year. It's no exception. She's dressed as a rat from the bubonic plague. And again, it's hot and humid, but I absolutely support her costume choices season after season. And if anyone's going to make a bubonic plague carrying rat hot, it's going to be Ciara, right? West and Carl are in night outfits, just a scratch, merely a flesh wound. And Lindsay asks West what he and Jesse were talking about in the pool earlier. That's where we left off last week's episode. She wants confirmation. Were you guys talking about the Ciara thing? And West tells her he thinks that Ciara would laugh in Jesse's face for asking if they could make out. And West wants that validation from Lindsay as well. But she tells him, listen, I don't know that she would laugh. Lindsay asks West if Ciara even knows these conversations happened. West says he doubts it, but it's not his place to tell her. And Lindsay straight up hub houses this one and asks, well, is it my place? Personally, if I were Ciara, I would absolutely 110% want to know if these conversations about me were happening. I absolutely would want to know. And I would expect, hope, I'm fairly certain my friends would tell me. You know, if I was to go in a time machine back 20 or 30 years when shit like this was relevant, these kinds of dramas were relevant, I have full faith that my friends would have told me if this kind of stuff was going down. They probably did. God bless. Kyle and Mia are watching Rat Ciara and Goat Girl Amanda maneuver themselves through the grass on all fours. And Kyle is very pleased by this. In his confessional, Kyle says, watching Amanda have fun reminds me of why I fell in love with her in the first place. She has a great sense of humor. I think watching her crawl on the ground is a clear indication that our issues will turn around and the summer will be fun. That's basically what he's saying. Because she's crawling on the grass that they hopefully haven't peed on. He thinks this is an indication that, hey, the issues we're having, things are looking up. Okay, Kyle. I personally was very glad to have a little break from the Kyle and Amanda centered episodes we've seen. Trust me, can't wait to go back to it. Listen, it wasn't like it was fun to watch Ciara get so fucking bummed out and treated so shitty by Jesse and West for peripherally, not even peripherally. That wasn't great, but it was nice to take a little break from the heaviness of Amanda and Kyle. Oh, my God. West has a fistful of corn cob in one hand. He's got a turkey leg in the other. I have to say that these turkey legs did look infinitely more appetizing than the ones I see people walking around eating at Disneyland. The ones I see people walking around eating at Disneyland truly look like people are eating a baseball glove that's been reshaped into a turkey leg and then painted a pinkish brown to look like it's been roasted. They look dry and disgusting, and you would just have so much tendon stuck in your teeth when you're done eating it. I don't understand the appeal of a turkey leg, but if you do, I am absolutely not here to shame you for that. I hope that watching these young people eat their respective turkey legs brought you joy. I mean that with all sincerity. So Ben asks West if Dara is coming and what's her ETA. And West straight up asks Ben, are you interested? And Ben is. In his confessional, Ben says that he and Dara met at the singles event in his honor, and the whole night was so awkward. And he asked producers, can we just not even talk about this again? He does want to talk to Dara again where it won't feel forced and see if there's a connection there. So Dara arrives. Dara, oh my God, I just watched this episode. Dara, it's Dara, right? I'm sorry, Dara. Or Dara, I am sorry. I feel so badly mispronouncing names. Like at the very least, I can pronounce somebody's name correctly. I think that's like the very least we can all do for each other is pronounce other people's names correctly. And here I am completely shitting the bed on this. I apologize. So Dara arrives, Bailey greets her and walks her into the party, and they see West surrounded by women, and Dara is basically, yep, that's on brand. And in her confessional, Dara says she met West 3 years ago. They dated for around 6 months and ended for, and I quote, the reason nothing seems to stick with him. He couldn't full send it, which I took to mean he couldn't commit. So this is a different picture than he painted last week. Basically, at the singles event last week in his confessional said, in regards to when he had dated Dara. You guys, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to look and see how I pronounce her name because I can't do this to her the whole night. Please hold. BRB. Okay, I'm back. It seems like her name is pronounced Dara. Dara. Dare I say her name is Dara. Dara. So until I hear otherwise, I am going to do my very best to pronounce her name as Dara. So basically last week, West's side of how he and Dara's relationship ended, he said it fizzled out. She is saying he couldn't full send it. I'm going to say that that's probably meaning he couldn't commit. So basically when West said that last week, he took like his responsibility for the relationship ending just out of the equation entirely. It fizzled out is a very passive way to say, I didn't want to commit. She did. So we ended things. She also said she ended it because she was 30 and in her hot girl era, and she's not going to enter her 30s telling a man how to be a man. She says West is the best guy on earth unless you're falling in love with him. And she's very happy that the flame has died. Dara. Dare I say, I like this newbie Dara. So Dara and KJ and Bailey, but she's basically like background in this little scene we're going to be watching. Dara, KJ, and background Bailey are talking by the outdoor bar. And Dara is chatting with KJ about his lack of top to his costume. And he tells her she's pretty. And it dawns on her, oh my God, he doesn't remember meeting me at the Australian singles event last week. He realizes it's Dara and says he feels stupid. And he kind of pulls this anemic excuse out. But your hair looks different. I mean, nominally, I can give him that, nominally. It is curlier at the Renaissance Fair party than it was when they were at the Australian singles event. And she says she's looking for someone to drink with, and they do a shot, and he cheers to himself being an idiot. And poor Bailey, she's a legit official cast member who was basically background during this whole conversation that should have been between 3 cast members, but it was just basically portrayed as 2. Lindsay finds Ciara, Mia, and Amanda sitting on the patio stairs, and she goes straight for it. No foreplay, no nothing, just, I have something to tell you. And she tells Ciara and the rest of the girls that the previous night, Jesse asked West if he could make out with Ciara. And Ciara is taken aback. And the timestamp during this is Saturday, July 19 at 4:08 p.m. And I include it because if the editors are finding it relevant enough to put it on the screen, I don't know. And again, I find it so entertaining with the timestamps on this show. Lindsay tells Ciara that West told Jesse, I don't think she's into him like that. And if she is, it's kind of a joke. And Amanda asks for clarification. So, Lindsay, Jesse seriously wants to make out with Ciara, or was he joking around asking if it was okay? And I personally love this level of specification that Amanda is looking for. I, too, want details like this when somebody is telling me a story. If you were transcribing this conversation, what kind of punctuation? Would this be ended with a period or an exclamation point? I need to know the details. So Lindsay tells everyone that Jesse was serious about the ask, but the makeout would be a joking makeout, to which Amanda says you don't jokingly make out with someone, which made me start thinking back. Like, did I ever jokingly make out with someone? And I don't think I ever did. I think that if it was to be a joking makeout, there would have had to be, oh, wait. See, I'm remembering in real time. There was a time that there was a joke makeout, but it wasn't really a joke because people had been joking about it for years that this person and I should make out. And at this particular event, we were in on it. We were in on the joke as the joke was happening. But it wasn't a joke. You know, this is years ago. Oh my God, this is years ago, you guys. But it was not a joke. It wasn't, there's not, I don't think that there's a joking makeout. The TLDR is there's no really a joking makeout. I guess it's one thing if you're playing spin the bottle with a bunch of people, but this is not a joke. My point is, Ciara just looks, while she's listening to Lindsay telling her this and listening to Amanda ask questions for clarification, Ciara just looks very burdened and tired and sad. She has an expression on her face that tells you everything you know about what it's like to deal with the Wests and the Jessies of the world as you are a single woman thinking that these men are your friends and care about your best interest, and you're learning in real time, like, oh my God, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. And if this is how they do show up for me as their friend, I have to come to grips with that. And that's not feeling very good. So Mia turns to Ciara and asks her friend, how do you feel about that? How are you feeling hearing all this stuff? And Ciara tells her she's going to need a minute, and it's not what she thought Lindsay was going to say to her. And in her confessional, Ciara says, what are you asking permission for? The only person that can give you permission is me. Both of these boys make me fucking sick, honestly. I validate her completely. I know she doesn't need my validation, nor is asking for my validation, but like, I just want to say I fucking validate the shit out of her. This is so awful. I thank them again for letting me watch this, though. I really thank them for recording it and putting it on TV for us to watch and talk about. So we see her on the aftermath of this conversation. She just looks defeated. You can see that it's just the wreckage from years of dealing with fuckboy energy from West and Jesse, and dating in general has gotten to her. And she has another confessional where she says she's annoyed at Jesse because everything is a fucking joke to him, which we have all heard Margie talk about last time we covered Summer House and again this time. Everything is a fucking joke to him. If it's serious enough for you to ask permission from West, then why aren't you asking for permission to go out on a date? And West, oh, you don't care? That annoys the shit out of me. You know what? I ought to make out with someone right in front of you, see how you really feel. And I can totally hear my therapist, my sister, my mom, my husband. You know, sometimes I think, oh, just yesterday I was on a hike in the Redwoods with my friend. And we were talking about something. I was like, don't you ever just want to like call somebody out for that, like in real time? And she's like, what good would it do? And it's true. Like, what good would it do for me to say what I really want to say sometimes to somebody, a stranger? I'm not going to change anybody. I'm not going to change anybody. And I know that I'm not going to feel good after I say what I think I want to say or do what I think I want to do. It's not going to land the way I picture it landing in my head. I probably won't inflict any kind of shame onto this other person whose behavior I find unacceptable and in the eyes of society is unacceptable. But I get that impulse and I validate and affirm that need that made her say, I ought to make out with someone right in front of you, see how you really feel. Because I don't think it would stick anyway. It really wouldn't. And that's so fucking disappointing. It's really hard for me, even at my advanced age, to not want things to be fucking fair all the time and have to like just, I like spending too much time thinking about what it would take to have something be fair. So Amanda, Mia, and Ciara go inside to get out of their Ren Fair costumes and just kind of regroup from this emotional conversation. And Amanda says if Jesse felt a certain way, he just needs to say it. Mia responds, but it's also not a topic of discussion for everyone else to comment on. Like, how the fuck does Ciara feel about it? And I love that Mia is really, really, really just such a good friend, trustworthy, soft, safe space for Ciara to land. I imagine if you are a close friend of Mia's, you really feel supported and loved by her. And that's what I want for everyone I care about, is to have those kinds of friendships. So in the kitchen, Lindsay is Lin-splaining to Ciara that Jesse is catching a vibe. You guys have always been flirty, but it's a little more for him now. And he might be catching some feelings and anticipating it going further. But Amanda and Mia are taking issue with the fact, and same here, and I know for sure Margie does, with the fact that he used the word joke and joking, though. Mia's grossed out because neither West or Jesse are seeing Ciara as a person who has feelings or emotions. It's not a fucking joke. And that is 100% true. It's not a joke. And the fact that they can't see it is so disappointing. So disappointing. So Ciara's just trying to process everything she's hearing. Lindsay says she feels bad because she doesn't want things to feel awkward between Jesse and Ciara, but she feels like she just made it awkward by telling Ciara what he said. And Ciara reassures her that she'd want to know, and so would I. Amanda says, listen, let's just get drunk and have fun and fuck the men, fuck talking to the men. Yeah. Amanda is not interested in the men and what they have to say. And quite frankly, I don't blame her. So Amanda finds Bailey and asks Bailey how her flirting practice is going. Bailey's plan is to flirt with West as soon as he's done talking to two women and see if he can pick up on it. And Amanda observes from the side as Bailey chats to him. Bailey asks West how he's doing. He asks her how she's doing. She's like, I don't know. And she tells West that it's the hottest he's ever looked. A hot as in temperature, humid, sweaty hot, because that I can absolutely say, yeah, you look the hottest you've ever looked. B, like hot? Absolutely not. He looks like a dork. He's wearing something from the cast-off pile of costumes from, what is it? I don't know what the Monty Python movie is. The oh my God, what's it called? The Secret of Life? The Life of Brian? What's it called? I don't know, just a scratch, merely a flesh wound. I'm sorry. I'm not into the Monty Python genre. I apologize to Monty Python fans everywhere. But his costume is very unserious. He does not look hot at all. He looks like a dork. He can also tell something is up. She asks him, are you turned on, Wes? Because I'm turned on. And he just mutters, lovely, under his breath and looks suspicious. And she asks, hey, does my popcorn taste good? And he's all, is that an innuendo? And she says, yes, and asks if she could tell if she was hitting on him. He can't tell. And he asks, is this how you normally hit on people? And she's like, I don't know. And so in her confessional, Bailey says when she first moved to New York, she had a lot of confidence and didn't care. She was like flirting to the point of being offensive. She said that she was hot mean, but now it's just uncomfortable. And when you lose your confidence physically, you can't put yourself out there. And again, she's just speaking to the fact that the last serious relationship she was in, the guy was, it sounds like he was verbally and emotionally abusive and manipulative, bottom line. And yeah, that's going to do something to you. It's going to do something to your self-esteem. I feel so bad watching her struggle with having to do these things that she thinks that she has to do. She does not have to master flirting. She doesn't have to do shit except for just be with her feelings about not feeling confident and how uncomfortable it is. And I hope that at some point soon she kind of can release herself from the pressure of having to figure out how to flirt. Also, you know what? Maybe it's not that fucking deep, dude. It's Summer House and she needs a storyline. Okay, so there's that possibility as well. So KJ takes Dara to meet Kyle, who is standing with Ben and Amanda. And Kyle's like, oh, you're Dara. And she hugs Ben hello. And she says that KJ is giving her a tour of the party in the backyard. In his confessional, KJ just sounds like a child full of wonderment. He just says, she's so pretty. And when she first came up to me, I thought, why is she coming to talk to me? And I remember feeling like that when I was younger and I was dating and in like a social situation. Like, there is no way that cute guy is coming to talk to me. There's just no fucking way. Why would he come talk to me when there's that girl over there and that girl over there and that girl over there and she's prettier and she's thinner and she's blonder and she's taller and she's nicer and her job is cooler? Like, I would find any reason at all to talk myself out of what was really happening, because it was a coping skill that I'd honed over the years to protect myself from being hurt in the future, lest I get excited thinking that like the cute guy wants to talk to me. That's just not possible. Oh, God. I get sad. I get sad for younger me. I get sad for younger, insecure me. But I was doing my best. I honestly was. I was just trying to keep myself from being hurt. In his confessional, KJ finishes by saying he's trying way too hard, but he can sense that there is some energy there between him and Dara. Dara. Carl. Oh, God bless. Carl's outfit. Carl looks like he's wearing a disco top and a pirate belt. I know that the top is supposed to look like that chain mesh that they think the knights wore, which I'm sure some did. Again, I'm not very well versed in Renaissance fair knight culture garments. He's talking to 3 women. He compliments one of them on her Beyonce shirt, and she says, "Do you get it?" And he doesn't, even though it's from Beyonce's Renaissance tour, and it's a Ren Fair party, and he feels like a dummy. Jesse wanders over to a table with Ciara, Amanda, Ben, and Mia. And Ciara tells Mia, off to the side, I cannot engage with him until I figured out my thoughts. And Mia's like, I have the stankiest face. Again, Mia is the friend you want to have in a situation like this. 100%. I love her so much. I love having her as a voice of reason, calm, love, support. You want someone like Mia on your side for sure. Jesse can tell that something is up. He can absolutely catch a vibe. Oh, God. Really, 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 really. And you're going to need to consult a thesaurus when I'm done recording this and look for another word that I can use other than vibe. He can sense the energy. There we go. That energy, the OG vibe, is it not? So Lindsay makes an announcement to the party that the jousting competition will be starting soon, and she calls upon Sir West and Sir Jesse. And I believe we hear Dara off camera saying that it's literally idiot versus idiot. God, I love it. Idiot versus idiot, is it not? It is, right? So Jesse and Wes come out on these inflatable horse costumes wielding inflatable swords. Jesse puts his hand to his ear as he's entering the jousting ring, so to speak, like encouraging people to like cheer for him. Again, another word that I feel utterly idiotic using, but cringe. Jesse, if you look up the word cringe in the dictionary, there would be a picture of him. Would there not be? Come with me. West uses his sword like a horse dong, so the both of them are just westing and jesseing it up. There's a dumb jousting package, and while all of this goes on, the camera just pans to Ciara, and she just looks sad and emotionally exhausted. Am I projecting? Absolutely. Have we all been Ciara in regards to dating guys like Jesse and West? Come on. Yeah, we've all had that look on our face, have we not? So at the end of the joust, the crowd is chanting, kiss, kiss, kiss. Why? Is this because of production? Probably. And Jesse kisses West, and West screams, he didn't ask permission. Ciara puts her head in her hands and just starts to cry. And Mia hugs her and asks if she wants to go inside. So they go to their room and they get settled in the bed to chat. And Ciara tells her, it's not flattering to me. It feels like everyone wants to experience me. I want to have a best friend and someone I can tell everything to, and they look at me and they want to tell me everything and they want to protect me. I don't want this surface level shit. And I think when she says that she feels like everyone wants to experience her, they want to make out with and be seen with this beautiful, stunning, smart, model, sexy, gorgeous, hilarious, snarky sense of humor. Like Ciara's like haven't people described her as next level many times since she joined this cast? My point is that why don't these idiots want to experience her for who she really is versus just the arm candy, you know? So I validate her for that. And in her confessional, Ciara says, everyone knows I'm more traditional than your average girl. And me and Jesse are real friends. So I don't understand how he sees me in this light of like a good time girl when that's not my vibe. And then Mia. Mia is such a good friend. She tells Ciara she hopes that she knows she's deserving of all the things that she wants. And Ciara is tearing up. Mia tells her, don't cry. I'm on my period. I'll cry too. And I love them. I love them. So we're treated to various scenes of Instagram influencers' ideas of Ren Fair, revelry, and costumes, and yawn, quite frankly. Dara and Ben are by the rack, and Ben is locked in it. I didn't know what the contraption was called, but Josh did, again, because of Monty Python. So the fact that I can only reference two cultural phenomenons having to do with knights, jousting, swords, Game of Thrones, and Monty Python, I don't know if that says anything about me, but if it does, let me know. Let me know what it is. A therapeutic dose at gmail.com. I'd be very interested to hear what that says about me. So Dara and Ben are flirting. That's what it looks like, right? Ben's eyes are aglow. He's animated. And they're double entendreing about handcuffs. And I really, until we saw the end of the episode, I thought that this was going to be the couple that was going to, emerge from this episode. But I was wrong, which I'm kind of glad. I'm glad about. So poor KJ and Bailey are watching Dara and Ben in their flirt mode from different vantage points, but they're both just like, shit. And in KJ's confessional, he says, Ben and the other guys in the house make flirting look so easy. KJ says he doesn't even know if he's flirting. He's just talking. He doesn't know how to flirt. I disagree. I just don't think it looks like as overt. He's just, I don't know. Relax, KJ. Who cares? Just you be you. And when he is, look at how that works out for him. But I also know what it's like to be a young person and think you're not doing anything fucking right. Thinking you are on the outside looking in. Thinking, why does everybody else have this shit figured out and I don't? Like, I fully get that. I really get that. Mia takes the mic and kicks everybody out. And so we just have the cast. KJ and Dara are now talking on the couch inside, and she tells him that he smells good, and he asks what she does for fun. What are your hobbies? She says she likes reading, and he approves of that hobby. She says that she goes to the movies alone a lot, and he says he loves to watch movies by himself too. And she says that's her favorite thing to do, and he says, let's go on a fucking film date. And she is on board with that. So I was like, okay, KJ, get out of here with your I don't know how to flirt BS. Because you did it. You just did it your way. We didn't see Ben seal a date deal, but we saw you just do it right now very naturally. Just stay true to yourself, KJ. He's doing fine. He does not need to listen to this 10-year-old's middle-aged mom give him dating advice. Oh, my God. So Jesse walks in the living room. And at this point, it's just KJ by himself on the couch. And KJ asks Jesse, hey, is Ciara okay? Jesse sounds wasted and says, dude, I don't know. I haven't seen her in hours. We then cut to a scene where Ben and Dara are in Ben's room. I'm assuming that he let her change in there and they're chatting. It looks like they're flirting. This is the first time that we've really seen Ben engaging in behavior, body language, energy that actually gives flirting, so to speak. So it's in there. He's capable of it. It ends up not going anywhere. While this is going on, Bailey is upstairs in her room FaceTiming Levi. Why wasn't Levi there? Why wasn't Levi at that party? Bailey tells Levi, Ben's gone. He's into Dara. In her confessional, Bailey says, with Dara walking around, fluttering her eyelashes at all the men, and them beaming back at her, it makes her realize she doesn't stand a chance, and that what she was doing with Ben was not flirting. And I was like, Bailey, I promise you, you're going to get there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I really just want all of them to relax. But I was not relaxed at that age at all. I was not relaxed, and plenty of people told me to relax, and I couldn't relax. So I'm just here to witness her and remind her. And again, by saying reminding her, I am reminding absolutely nobody because I don't know. Maybe Bailey will listen to this, but if not, I'm just psychically, spiritually, I am here to validate her. That's all I'm saying. So Dara leaves, the rest of the cast goes to bed, and then we resume Sunday, July 20 at 9:34 a.m. And we see footage of a turkey leg in the grass covered in flies. The cast is outside cleaning up after the party. It looks like one of the gnarlier cleanups they've ever had to do. Jesse tries to talk to Ciara while she's emptying bottles and cans, and he can tell that she's not feeling him at all. And in his confessional, Jesse says he can tell that Ciara's upset and just hopes it's not at him. What an idiot. But he says, I just feel like no matter what happens, I always mess up. I am so impatient with this man-child. I really am. And I don't know what it's going to take. Again, I will be here to watch it. If the repercussions of his behavior and his choices and his actions happen to go down while they are shooting this season of Summer House, I will be so happy to watch it. But bottom line, for the good of the people that he is friends with and then possibly dates, I really hope that regardless of whether or not I actually get to watch it, that it does happen, because I find it so unattractive, repellent, repugnant, what have you, at this kind of passive language. I feel like no matter what happens, I always mess up. Go a little bit deeper, Jesse, please. Like, are you curious about why this always happens? Are you curious how? Because you're literally making the same mistakes. In fact, I feel like it's even getting worse than what it was last year with Lexi. It's definitely for sure more of the same. But you have a part in it. And I just feel like no matter what happens, I always mess up. Okay, well, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. So what are you going to do? I don't know, dude. So instead of asking her for information on maybe why he's getting the sense that she doesn't want to have anything to do with him in that moment, he just goes inside. By this time, it's 11:20 a.m. People are starting to leave to go back to the city. Lindsay gives Carl an anemic goodbye, and once she's secure in her car away from earshot, Carl tells KJ, do you want to know how wild it is that the car she's sitting in right now, I paid for half of it and it used to be half mine? I was like, damn, that must be weird. That must be a weird feeling. Like, have you ever driven by somewhere that you used to live for a long time and you don't live there anymore? And you're like, like it just gives you that weird feeling. It's like you have to orient yourself. Like you're looking at this thing that you physically occupied and your energy was in it. And it no longer is. Or it is, but you aren't inside of, I don't know. Anyway, I love Carl. I love hearing the shit that comes out of Carl's mouth this season so far. So Carl tells KJ that it was a trip seeing Lindsay, but that the weekend couldn't have gone better between them. And there wasn't a time where he was uncomfortable. And I was like, yeah, because you're fucking sober, body, mind, soul. And I love watching it. I love Carl this season. I love it. So Jesse looks like he's 65 and going to go play golf. Like technical fabric polo shirt, just like, ew. Oh, God. Ciara deserves better, just sartorially. Maybe she doesn't give a shit what a guy wears. Maybe I'm being a dick. But I just thought that that shirt kind of looked like if Jesse's personality was a shirt, it would be that shirt and a fucking pair of his tan pants and his tan dad hats. Again, he's got to be the one to question those choices, not me. Ciara walks outside. She goes to Lindsay's car to give her a very emphatic and demonstrative hug and kiss goodbye in comparison to how she says goodbye to Jesse. Like kind of like, bye, like fake, I'm tolerating you goodbye. No eye contact, very terse. So Monday, July 21, Kyle and West are playing indoor video game, quasi-virtual reality golf, I guess. Lindsay's baby proofing. And then the next day is Tuesday, July 22. And KJ and Dara meet at a bar. It's called 82 Staten. That's at least how West pronounces it, Staten. You know, later in the episode, knowing that we're watching a bar in New York City and Staten Island is very close by, I just assumed that it would be pronounced 82 Staten. But I guess people would be like, statin isn't that a cholesterol? Don't you take that when you have high cholesterol? 82 statin. So maybe they changed it to Staten for branding. I don't know. Who gives a shit? I'm so sorry. Who cares? Literally, who cares? So KJ and Dara meet at a bar. He has already ordered himself a beer and gotten 2 waters. Now, again, I'm taking notes as I'm watching this. So the first thing he says is, I just texted you. So I made a mental note of that. And she comments that, oh, you ordered a drink without me. Now, personally, Ramona, did not think that was a big deal. I don't know if he was early. I don't know if she was running late. I thought it was nice that he got her a water. I had no doubt in my mind that he'd order her something when she arrived. I wonder if maybe when he said, when she walked up, I just texted you, maybe in that text message, he said, hey, I'm here. I'm going to order a beer. What can I get for you? I don't know that. I have a feeling that's probably what he asked, but I don't know for sure. Josh and I talked about this for a really long time. He was very triggered by her making that comment about him not ordering her a drink. And he was like, what's her motivation? I think it's control. I think she's trying to put some doubt about her liking him in his mind so that she can use it as leverage. And it was a shitty thing to say the first thing you walk up. Now, I didn't care for it either, and I'm trying really hard to see if it could be taken a different way. I also told Josh this, that when I was single and dating when I was younger, sometimes I would kind of make what I thought were cute, funny, flirty jokes, but they were a little bit mean. But I was trying to be cute, trying to be funny. And it might have just come across as being fucking rude. And I wonder about that sometimes when I see something like this. So I don't know. And obviously, maybe it wasn't that deep. But KJ did look a little bummed out to hear it. He looked a little taken aback and like, oh my God, I fucked up and I didn't even question this, you know? But I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But we watched the scene 3 times and it made Josh really mad all 3 times. And poor KJ, his face after she says it, after she says starting off in the strongest of notes is, you know, her whole vibe is that statement. That's what Josh said. Her whole vibe was that statement. Watch how she talks. She's very guarded. Everything she's saying has an off-putting tone to it. So that was just Josh's take on it, which is really why I want him to talk about Summer House with us at least once this season. In KJ's confessional, he tells us that he and Dara have been in a lot of contact since the party. He says, again, this summer, I didn't really want to get into a relationship, but we'll see how that goes. Because he's basically telling us he's very smitten with Dara. So Dara makes a comment like, oh, you're still wearing my earrings. Because at the Renaissance Fair party, there was a scene that, again, I didn't take notes because I didn't think that would be that big of a fucking deal later, but I was wrong, where KJ and Dara switched earrings with each other. I think that there are 2 teams of people that would be like, let me wear your earrings just straight out of your earlobe hole. And there would be people that would be like, I need an alcohol swab to clean off your earrings before I put them in my own respective hole. That's all I'm going to say about that. Just something to think about. I don't know that I could have just put an earring from somebody else's earring hole in my ear. I don't know that I could do that. That's okay. I'm not on this show, right? I'm just talking about it. He says, every morning this week when I woke up, I thought of you, because he could see her earrings in his ears. And she's very pleased to hear this. And KJ tells her how he felt after giving Dara a tour of the backyard. And then he saw her talking to Ben. And he got bummed out. Damn, I like her. And Dara, you can see on her face, is stoked to hear this, even if her words don't say that. Basically, what Dara says is, listen, let me clarify things for you so you don't think there's a weird kind of competition. Ben is nice and all, but KJ asks, okay, so you don't like Ben? And she smiles and looks at KJ and says, no. And KJ is like, everyone likes Ben. And Josh thought KJ was deflecting right there, but he wasn't sure why. I think that KJ is employing the coping skill that I talked about a few minutes ago. This is, I'm going to set myself up for disappointment right now. There's no way this woman isn't infatuated with hot model Australian Ben. How can I compete with Ben? Again, I am projecting, but I did this to myself a lot of the times. Dara says, don't pretend like you're disappointed hearing that I don't like Ben. So both of them, in my opinion, like, could it be flirting? Could it be their own respective senses of humor? Sure. I personally think that they were both coping skilling on a first date. Instead of staying with the feeling of affirmation and glee, hearing that the girl he has a crush on him back, he just starts to protect himself. Come on, everyone likes Ben. And in her case, instead of saying, hey, I just told you I liked you and you didn't say it back, that feels scary to me. I feel vulnerable that I just said it like I said it and you left me hanging. Dara protects herself with a snarky comment. And I love watching it. His bottom line is I love watching it. So she tells KJ that she didn't feel chemistry with Ben. And I was like, that's because Ben doesn't really put it out. He's got something going on too. Both he and Bailey are figuring a lot of things out. So KJ asks Dara, do you feel chemistry with me? And she says, yes. And he needs further confirmation. So he asks, in just that short amount of time that we spent at that party, that was enough for you to know? Basically, that's what he's asking. And again, she smiles and nods back. And again, I could fully validate and relate to him, like needing that further confirmation. Like, are you sure? I want to make sure that you're sure what you're saying. Are you sure? Because if you think about this for a while, you might change your mind. Oh, God, I can relate. Yeah. Oh. So he goes into like full unadulterated lover boy KJ mode and tells her that his plan was to be single this summer. And she's like, do you still want to be single? Like basically after meeting me, you know? And he's like, I did. So I want more of them. I want to see more of this, I want to see more adventures of KJ and Dara. The next thing we have is Carl at the soft bar build out. And in his confessional, he tells us how hard he and his team have been working, and they are opening later in the summer. And we see footage of the massive space Carl has leased for his soft bar and what the plans are for it. He's got an office and a studio is going to be upstairs. I really hope he feels proud of himself. After his confessional, we see an unfortunate flashback of Lindsay telling him a couple years ago, you know, you never follow through with your plans and I need a man that's going to be a go-getter, basically. So Ben comes to visit him at soft bar and see how it's all going. He's super impressed. Carl tells Ben he's going to be opening in 5 weeks. They've got 3 more weeks to finish construction on the space and then 2 weeks until the soft opening after that. And he won't be at the house the following weekend because he needs to be at soft bar. He's very committed to this because he wants to deliver on what his promises are and what he said. He tells Ben that he has serious investors and he has more bar or hospitality kind of oriented investors, like people from non-alcoholic beverage companies have invested, and Jesse, other close friends and families and influencers have invested. And Ben asks him straight out, did Kyle invest? And Carl said no. So interesting. So fucking interesting. And in his confessional, Carl tells us, in 2019, I invested $15,000 into Loverboy. I didn't have a lot of money at the time, but I believed in Loverboy so much I found a way. I had hoped for the same in return, but Kyle said he wasn't in the position to invest. And Carl says at the end of his confessional, the message it sends is confusing. So what was it, in like the first or second episode of Summer House this season, we see the scene where Kyle is at Carl's apartment and he's telling him that he had to invest $500,000 of his own. 50,000, 500,000. Oh God, I can't remember. That's a lot. That's a big ass difference. But he had to invest a big old chunk of his own money into Loverboy. So I'm not trying to both sides it, but at the same time, I can absolutely validate where Carl is coming from. The message it sends is confusing. I am confused. We all know that Carl was not doing well for years financially, but he found a way to invest in Loverboy. So Friday, July something, I think it's probably the 25th or whatever, the casts are in their respective cars driving back out to the Hamptons. In one car is West, Ben, Jesse, and KJ. And West tells the car, you know what? My friend is a bartender at 82 Staten, and KJ is here on a date. That's the text he got earlier in the week. And Jesse asked who the lucky girl was, and KJ said Dara. And KJ tells the car how they chatted at the party and tells them they had a fun date. Jesse, of course, is the one to ask if they kissed. KJ says, yes, they did. Then KJ shares that she came over the night before and they made dinner. Again, on brand, Jesse says, and then what? And KJ says, well, I left this morning. Okay, KJ, I don't think, I don't know. I don't want to project onto what Dara would say about him sharing that information, but it didn't seem very KJ to share that kind of information that they spent the night together. I also don't know what happened. Like, I'm not going to assume that they did it just because she spent the night. Maybe she just spent the night. It felt weird. It didn't feel like it fit hearing KJ said, hey, well, I left this morning. But he does tell the group that he enjoys spending time with her. And I liked this. KJ asks Ben, how do you feel about this? And Ben says, listen, dude, I'm all for it. I thought there was a vibe between us. I sensed it, but I'm not after something short term at the moment. Net, Ben says it's fine. Don't worry about it. After that, we see Bailey and Levi standing across the street from the summer house with all their stuff. They are standing next to a big black Suburban that they've either driven out themselves or their driver is parked there, but won't go in the driveway. And they are planning a prank. So stay tuned for that. Back in the car, KJ tells Jesse, I did have coffee with Ciara this week, and she does know what you said to West last week. And West says, that's Lindsay's fault. And I wrote, that's not the point, West. Lindsay is not the problem. The fact that this conversation took place behind a woman's back that you both consider to be a friend, that's the point, West, okay? But KJ does tell Jesse she's upset about this conversation. And Jesse says that he did text her that week, but she didn't respond. So back at the house, by the time everyone's pulling up, it is thundering and dumping rain. So we learned that the prank that Bailey and Levi were planning is that they were going to be dressing up as potted plants inside the house. And I wish Margie was here to talk about it because this is the exact kind of shit that Margie loves. In the foyer of the house, Bailey is she's dressed in foliage and she's crouched herself into a pot. So when Amanda runs in the house out of the rain, Plant Bailey jumps up and scares the shit out of her, and it was hilarious. I did rewind it and watch it a couple times. Then Bailey did it to Kyle and Mia, and it was equally as funny. Poor Ciara, she gets out of the car, and as she's running to the front door in the rain, she slips and falls hard. And by the time she gets to the front door, she's not fooled by Plant Bailey. So the three of them ask Bailey if Levi's there. Bailey's like, nope, she's not here. Flawless. It was great. She did not look like it just didn't look like she was up to anything at all. And I thought it was adorable. But we do learn that Levi is, in fact, planted up herself and ready to attack people from her perch in Club Send It. So Levi does, in fact, scare the shit out of Mia once Mia crosses the threshold. And they all have a laugh. Plant Bailey and Plant Levi get news that West and the dudes are pulling up, so they reset themselves stat. And when West and KJ walk in, they get the shit scared out of them by Plant Bailey and Plant Levi, and it was funny. They reset for Jesse and Ben, and it wasn't as bad. We learn that it's Amanda's birthday. By now, the whole cast is there. They're all saying hello to each other, except for Jesse and Ciara. She's sitting at the table. He walks over to her to try to give her a hug. There's no eye contact. It's kind of an awkward side hug. And the best he can do is say, can we talk before dinner? Right after this, Wes goes out on the porch and he just takes a moment to watch the rain and says, this is what life's all about, really. So that was an interesting snapshot into West. He and Ben are sitting on the patio outside, and Ben asks West how Jesse is doing. Wes says, if Ciara's mad at you, it's not good. And Ben says, terrifying? And Wes says, yeah. And I flipped off the TV. I was so annoyed by this. What is it about the fact that I'm not saying hashtag all men. I'm just saying that hashtag a lot of times men The utter fear and dread that they have making a woman mad and the lengths they will go to that they think will not make them mad, which once everything shakes out are things that they do that are going to make the situation twice as worse as it would have been if they would have just been honest from the jump. If Ciara's mad at you, it's not good. Ben saying terrifying. Fuck off. How about Jesse shouldn't have fucked up this bad? Jesse shouldn't have been a dick. Jesse should have been nicer. Ciara deserves better treatment than this. Not, if she's mad at you, it's not good. Oh, dude, is it terrifying? Yeah. That is so gross. I think it smacks of misogyny, to be honest. I think it's really disrespectful. And again, it's passive, in my opinion, instead of looking at why you upset your friend to the point where she needs to take space from you in a way that you are going to know about it. I think her reaction is 100% reasonable. You might find it terrifying, Wes, but that says way more about you than the way that Ciara is reacting. IMHO. So Jesse and Ciara head upstairs to talk in her room. He starts out by saying, I feel bad. And he repeats the conversation he had with West about him, like, hey, are you going to be mad if I make out with Ciara? And Ciara tells him, yeah, I heard it. And he tells her, I heard that you learning about this made you feel a certain type of way. Now, hearing Jesse say, made you feel a certain type of way, you know when I talk about how, like, people wearing clothes versus clothes wearing them? Jesse, not all vernacular and not all sayings are for you. This was so... It gave me, again, I feel like such an asshole saying it gave me the ick. I feel terribly like here I am accusing Jesse of using vernacular that doesn't fit. But like the ick that I got when he said, I heard that it made you feel a certain type of way. He sounded like such a fucking poser, you guys. He really did. But he does feel bad that he made her feel that way. And he said he didn't mean anything by it. He tells her he felt like things were getting flirty between the two of them. And he wanted to clear it from Wes's perspective and his and my friendship. This is when Josh said, he's a fucking bonehead. I agree. So hearing Jesse say, I gave painstaking consideration to how my bro might feel before ever considering you, it really fucking grossed me out. Josh said that Jesse's explanations for his actions are always so bad. And I asked him for more information, and Josh said he's trying to protect his own ego while he's saying sorry, but he's just making it worse every time. And as he's saying these things, you can see him realizing in real time that what he did was so lame, but instead of stopping, he just keeps going. I agree with what Josh said. Absolutely. So Ciara asks him, using his own words, though, but you didn't mean anything by it. And you can see Jesse's face, like he knows he's been caught. He can't even form a word. His mouth is only like quivering and hesitation. And the best he can come up with is, I didn't know what my intention was. And Josh said out loud, he's lying. He knew what his intention was. It was to make out. And it's true. So Jesse says he didn't know where Ciara's head was at. He just thought asking West was the right order of operations. So he's basically telling his friend, this girl that he claims to have feelings and respect for, that he considers a friend, Ciara, net, if West wasn't okay with it, I wouldn't even think about it. Oh my fucking God. Like he can't even give Ciara the dignity of just admitting to her that he likes her. It's so gross. It's so unattractive. He is much too old to be behaving like this. So Ciara tells him, it's weird that you were clearing things with West before talking to me about it. It made me feel like a sexual conquest, like now it's your turn. And Jesse says he didn't mean it like that. And she said, I'm telling you. Hearing that's what you said made me feel that way. Then she tells him she heard that you wanted to make out with me as a joke. You wanted to hide behind a joke. And he lies and says, no, I wasn't making a joke. If we made out, ... And then Ciara finishes his sentence with his own words. Yeah, it would be a joke. Again, we see Jesse's face. He has no words. His mouth is open, but he can't speak. There's nothing he can say. He finally says, I feel like we have an attraction to each other, but we're also friends, and I don't know what I'm looking for. He said, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't think he means that. I think he likes her, and he's too much of a scaredy cat to say it. So he has to say, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm not saying he's ready for a relationship. I absolutely do not think that he is ready for a relationship. I think he thinks he wants one. And I think he thinks he might want one with her. But he's too scared to even just say that he likes her. So he says it's a joke. He's always hiding with the jokes. It's very lazy, very low risk. And Ciara deserves better. So Ciara says, listen, I acknowledge that we've crossed lines, and I acknowledge that those lines are blurred now, and I love you as a friend, but I'm upset because why is it that I can express how much I want a boyfriend, how much I want to be in a relationship, how much I want to have a friendship with the person that I'm in a relationship with, how much I want to be eventually married, have kids one day, but then you just picture it as a joke. If you were really interested in me, you'd ask him for permission to take me out on a date if you ask him for permission for anything, but not to just make out with me and not as a joke. Like, do you see where I'm coming from? It's so true, dude. Permission. Oh, it's so gross. We don't have to go there. I know you know. So gross. So Jesse says, I'm sorry I made you feel like an object. That's not how I feel about you. And in her confessional, Ciara says, it feels like this is really easy to put it all on Jesse, but it's 75% me and 25% Jesse. So I was wrong. I know that last week I really thought that Ciara was just kind of playing around with him, enjoying the attention, but I didn't think that she was possibly entertaining the thought of taking things with Jesse to a romantic level. I really didn't. But she continues and says, it's hurtful from Jesse because I feel like we have a good enough relationship for him to tell me this stuff, but it reaffirms my story that people just want to hook up. Oh, God. That story, the stories we tell ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves are so painful. The stories come up, they originate for protection. You know, things, people hurting you, you have to make sense of them. You have to. So she's going to tell herself people just want to hook up. Instead of thinking maybe this is their limitation, has nothing to do with me, and what I want is absolutely fine. When we're children, we come up with ways to make things make sense. And it just sucks because our minds don't know that just because we're not children anymore, that we can let go of the coping skills, the way that we thought as children. Like, they don't serve us as we grow older into adulthood. But by that time, they're so ingrained in us. They're so comfortable. They are the duvet cover that you can wrap yourself in and have everything make sense, even if it hurts real bad. So I really hope that one day she's able to untangle her story. I also relate to her story. I have told myself similar things when I was younger, and it made me sad for her. And the last scene of the episode, we see Ciara telling Jesse, I just want to be seen. That's the main thing I'm fighting for. And isn't it all we're all fighting for? We all just want to be seen for who we are. We all want to be understood. We all want to be respected, especially by the people that are closest to us. Great episode. What else did I watch this week? Let's see. Last night, I stayed up way too late watching the Love is Blind season finale, The Weddings, and it was entertaining. I can't wait for the reunion. I thought this was a good season. I'm not saying that there were good people on it, like good people that I'd want to be friends with or have relationships with or know in real life, but was I entertained? Yeah, I was. Let's see. Potomac watched the last installment of the reunion. In fact, one of my antidepressants this week has to do with the Potomac reunion. I had my nail artist do my right hand, inspired by Stacy's dress, and my left hand, inspired by Wendy's dress, reunion dresses. Watched Beverly Hills and watched the Saturday Night Live with Connor Story. Is that his name? Oh, God. Now I really feel old. Using words like vibe. Connor Stories, right? From Heated Rivalry. Anyway, he was the host. It was okay. It wasn't great, to be honest, but SNL is really a crapshoot on whether it's going to be funny. I don't know how long I've been saying that. And I'm trying to think if I watch anything else. I don't think it's important. Everything was mainly Bravo, probably. And let's see. My antidepressant for the week, again, I'm very pumped in the fact that we're going to be springing forward this weekend. Looking forward to that. Fresh set of nails on. My family is happy and healthy. And for that, I am very grateful. But yeah, I think that's about it, you guys. So thank you for solo housing with me for a second time. I appreciate it. If you have a moment to make sure that our episodes are going to automatically download to your feed, that would be great. If you have time to drop a rating or a review, that would also be great. If you have time to pass the podcast on to someone else who you think might enjoy it, that would also be great. But the bottom line is take care of yourself and protect your peace and your time however you can this week. And whatever you do, I invite you to do it with love. I extend this invitation to myself as well. And we will be back and talk to you next week, everybody. Okay? All right. Bye. Thank you. And bye.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.